Live better and longer with the Fitzness Show, hosted by fitness expert, author, and TV personality Fitz Koehler. She'll tell you why diets are dumb, supplements are snake oil, and the truth about how you can earn a lean, hard, pain-free, and athletic body. Now for our favorite bossy blonde, Fitz Koehler.
Well, hi team. I'm Fitz Koehler, your totally bossy fitness pro from Fitzness.com, and welcome to the Fitzness Show. Today, we are going to talk about DEXA scans and other testing that will help you become more aware, more in tune, more knowledgeable about your body, allow you to figure out how to assess where you are right now and goal set for the future. I have done a DEXA scan myself, and I was blown away. I think I'm a skeptic. There's too many people taking advantage of too many people when it comes to the health and fitness space. And this is the real deal. This is real cool. DexaFit is around America. It's something we all have access to, and it's fairly affordable. We talk about the prices of the scans and the various tests at the end of the show. But I hope you listen. I hope you learn. And I hope you'll consider investing in these scans and tests because they were really informative to me. They gave me some good news, some surprising news, not so surprising news that I was surprised to see because holy heck, these tests are pretty accurate. And it inspired me to do better and be better. And now when I'm training, especially strength training, I have some of these results in my mind because I would like to improve them. So before we get started, if you haven't done so yet, click like or leave a review on the gosh darn Fitzness Show, for crying out loud. Why haven't you done so yet? I'm looking. I see your name pop up or not. I wonder why isn't that person leaving a review? But other than that, say hi on Instagram. If you guys have any fitness questions or topics you'd like me to cover, that's a great place to send them. And I want this show to be about the things you want it to be about. I mean, obviously, I've got a lot to say, a lot on my mind, but it helps me when I know exactly what's on your mind. So thanks for listening. And here we go with Ann Collette from DexaFit. Welcome to the Fitzness Show.
So excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So before we get into all the cool things you do professionally, and they are very cool, and I know that you have all sorts of eye-opening information. There were some things where I came to DexaFit Gainesville and I thought, I didn't know that. And to surprise me is pretty good because I know a lot of stuff, right? But
you're on top of things.
Before we get there, I'd like to tell people how we officially met. Do you remember?
It was many, many moons ago, a couple of years ago. You go ahead. You share the story.
Well, we can both pitch in. But we were at a fundraiser in honor of a little girl who had succumbed to brain cancer.
Yeah. That's right.
And we sat next to each other. And so I think I was officially out of chemo. I might have still been doing chemo I guess I must have still been doing it because the society was open. So, right. So anyways, so I guess I was doing chemo at the time. And are you willing to share?
I absolutely am. And that fundraiser would have been for the Phoebe Louise Dooley Foundation in honor of sweet Phoebe, who passed away from a brain tumor at a very young age, which no child should have to face. And we're supporters of that organization because in our family, we've also experienced pediatric cancer. My son was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia when he was 10 years old. And I will jump to the end of that story, which is he's amazing. He's 18 and thriving and physically, socially, academically, and we just couldn't be more thrilled. But we had a long road of 40 months of treatment. And over the course of that time, we met many fabulous people and got engaged with multiple organizations who support children's cancer here in our local community in Gainesville, Florida, and Phoebe Louise Dooley Foundation being just one of them.
Yeah. So great organization. And I remember sitting next to you thinking, whatever I was going through, and that actually, your perspective works for me. And so the thing I decided from the start was, well, this is bad, but at least I'm not a kid with cancer. And it's not my kid with cancer. And so sitting next to you and hearing about what you all were going through and having success, which was helpful to hear. But yeah, it's this community nobody wants to be a part of. And I'm so sorry you guys went through it.
Same
I'm
for
so
you.
glad.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you. And your
Yeah.
biggest news, tell everybody what he's accomplished just recently.
Yes. So, as I mentioned, he is 18 years old, which means he's a senior in high school, and he was accepted early decision to the University of Florida, but he also received an appointment to the U.S. Naval Academy, which is quite an accomplishment because it requires not just academics, but physical prowess and health and wellness and the ability to perform a lot of serious, rigorous physical tests. And he was able to just fly through that. And it's a comprehensive, in depth process that requires a congressional nomination and multiple interviews. And we're just, we couldn't be excited. More excited for him or more thankful for the many blessings that we've received as a family through his cancer journey. And yes, it's a horrible thing that you don't wish upon anyone, but you make a choice when you're in it to have an attitude of positivity and that you're going to get through this and you're going to be part of a community and receive help from people in that community. And when you do that, you can find joy every day, you can find laughter every day, and there are positives that come out of this journey if you have the right mindset.
That's right. That's right. And health is that. It's your body and your mind. And without a healthy mind, you're gonna have a lot of bad days. So
Yeah.
I saw him just recently at the Making Stride for Breast Cancer walk. He was helping his dad set up. Your husband is a talented sports announcer as well, big voice, big equipment, and
Yeah.
it was nice to see him out there. He's so strapping. And I remember his celebrating his end of treatment with the parade in your
Yes.
neighborhood.
Well, I
And
remember you profoundly you coming. You know, he rang the bell in 2020, and as most people know, when you finish your treatment, you ring the bell, right? And so we had always planned on having a big bash when he rang the bell, but we're in 2020, COVID pandemic, so there was no bash to be had. But we opted instead for a parade, and so we invited people to drive down our street, decorate their cars, honk their horns, whatever. And I remember you coming, and that was so touching and meant so much to us as a family.
wow, I was excited to be able to celebrate his victory.
Well,
And
you understand victory.
yeah, yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. So I do adore your family. Thank you for being on my show and being in my life.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here today and get to chat with you about other topics.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna get into the DexaFit. DexaFit. So you own this business. You brought it to Gainesville, Florida, and full disclosure, folks, in the fall, Ann reached out and said, "Hey, Fitz, I would like for you to come check this out. No charge. Just come in, have the scans, go through the experience, and see what you think." That was it. And I'm guessing the hope was if I enjoyed it, I would tell people, and they would come check it out too. So tell everybody what DexaFit is.
Well, thank you for coming, and we loved having you. DexaFit is actually a business that I brought to Gainesville, Florida, and we do testing. I like to say that it helps people to own your health before your health owns you. We do testing like DEXA scans. We use a DEXA machine that you'd find at any major medical facility or imaging group in the country. But the differentiating factor is our software that rests on top of that DEXA machine. And we are able to give people information about their body composition, specifically bone density, right? A DEXA scan is most widely known for giving someone an osteoporosis, osteopenia diagnosis because you get a DEXA scan for bone density. But we go way beyond that. We give you what your overall bone density is, but we also take a look at what's your lean muscle mass. We look at what is your body fat. And this is a big one. What is your visceral fat? Visceral fat is that fat that is insidious. It gets wrapped around your organs and you can't see it, you can't touch it, nor can you spot reduce it. But it's important to know what your visceral fat is versus your subcutaneous fat, which is, the fat around the middle or on our legs or on our butts that nobody likes. But visceral fat, because it's wrapped around your organs, can actually impact your overall bodily function. And so with that, it could cause metabolic disease, liver disease, type 2 diabetes, or what we now call type 3. A lot of people talking about how visceral fat leads to Alzheimer's. And so it's important that you understand these markers, and it's important that you know what your lean mass is, because we need it as we age. And then what is your body fat? How are you looking at your overall body composition as it relates to your health? Not just today, but as you look forward to aging. And so DexaFit is our name, and DEXA is our primary test that we do, but we also do resting metabolic rate assessment, so we can tell people how many calories a day they need. And we do VO2 max testing, which talks about, hey, how strong is your heart? And we can give you your cardio capacity, as well as very specific customized heart rate training zones for fat loss and for improving your cardiac function. And so they're the tests that we do. We offer some other services as well, like red light therapy and infrared sauna. But our testing is at the root of what we do. And we're here to help people have their health span match their lifespan. How long are you going to stay healthy in your life so that you can be healthy right up till the end, and hopefully extend the end and do it in a healthy way?
Well, you just said it right there. That's the Fitzness mission, is to help people live better and longer.
Yes.
And it's no fun to live long unless you're living well. And so,
Absolutely.
So I loved how specific your information was. So you didn't just come out and say, Fitz, you have 19% body fat or whatever it was. I don't remember my numbers, but you said, okay, you're this percent body fat, but then also this is where you carry the fat. You have this amount in your arms. And one of the things I found fascinating is where you showed me my right arm was more muscular than my left arm. And that's actually, my breast cancer was on the left side, and I'm still struggling to try to rebuild that up. And then to see your numbers pop up, I thought, wow, that's really precise.
It's very precise, and we're able to arm people with information. You mentioned, not just, hey, you have body fat. We all have body fat, but it's, where is your body fat? Do you have that visceral fat? And then how are you carrying your fat? We look at what is your ratio between fat up here, right? This is the unhealthy fat, which you can't see, but right here.
Her abdomen. She's pointing to
your
her
gut, right? It's that, in your trunk versus carrying it in your hips or upper thighs. And carrying it lower is healthier, because if you're carrying it up high, then more than likely you're going to have an issue with visceral fat, which, as we've already mentioned, is, it's the kind of fat you don't want to have, and you want to keep it as low as possible. I mean, ideally 0, but we see some zeros, but 0 is very hard to achieve. Some people are just genetically blessed. Other people have such intense workouts that they're able to maintain a 0, or, it's just, they're young. As we age, we have to fight against visceral fat coming our way.
And for those of you who are having a hard time grasping the visceral fat thing, think about a steak. The fat on the outside, that's the subcutaneous fat that you can chop off a steak, right? And then the visceral fat is the fat that's marbled through the meat that you can't remove. That apparently provides a lot of flavor in a cow. I'm a vegetarian, but I remember learning about visceral fat, making that cow tasty. But so that's the scary kind. But so you give all of this precise information. You have X amount of pounds of fat in your right arm, and you have this amount of pounds of fat in your left arm. And this is how much weight of fat you have in your legs and your abdomen and so forth, which is fascinating to see. But where I find the true value is, number one, could open people's eyes. They might be alarmed by how much fat they're carrying around, or they might walk in and be so proud of themselves, pat themselves on the back and keep going in the right direction. But I think it's the potential of going back for scan number 2, which is really where I would hope people would utilize this service, because, okay, If let's say you're in Gainesville, or the surrounding areas, you go to Ann's shop. If you're in Minnesota, there's probably one over there too. It's a chain. There's franchise locations everywhere. But so you get the information. What do you do with it? So you could say, well, okay, I have a lot of fat, so be it. Or you can say, this is unacceptable and I'm going to make change. I'm going to change my eating habits. I'm going to change my workout habits. Just so you know, I've been working so hard on my left arm, my left shoulder. I'm trusting. I want to come back in and do a number 2 to see if I've changed things. But, yeah, and I do think about that when I'm doing my push-ups and so forth. I wonder if I'm improving on my score. So it's the motivation to make progress, go back to your DexaFit location, redo the scans, see if you've made progress. And then, how many people do that? They revisit you, they come back.
Absolutely. We are seeing people coming back. We just opened in August, and we have already had people who are in for their second, or in some cases, their third visit, because they want to measure on a quarterly basis. We like to say what gets measured gets managed. And so when you know where you are on things, and when you know those specific areas where you need to channel your focus, then much like you're working on that arm. When people know, gosh, I've got fat in my trunk, I need to work on that. Or I don't have enough lean muscle. I am under muscled. So we see a lot of people who come in who say, I don't strength train, but I'm about to. And so we get them a baseline, and then they begin their strength training and they come back to see what kind of progress they're having. Or they're strength training, 2 days a week, and they're not getting the results they want. Well, then what kind of changes do you need to make? We see all kinds of people coming into DexaFit, and we love that. We've got our exceptional athletes, right? The triathletes, the marathoners, the cyclists who come in, and they love data, right? So they want to measure everything. They wear the watches, they wear the rings, they've got it all tracked in a spreadsheet. And then we have the people who are working out who think that they're, doing well. And when they get their results, either that's affirmed, or they say, gosh, I thought I'd be better for what I'm doing. And what DexaFit allows you to do is say, well, first of all, kudos, you're here, right? You are here. You want to know where you are. Data empowers.
Yeah.
But let's evaluate what you're doing. And another, tap on the back, you're doing things. What we let you do is really hone in, right? And say, if I want to optimize my results, what do I need to change? So then it lets you change up either your workout routine, your nutrition, more strength training, maybe some calorie cutting, and it lets you fine tune the activities you're already doing towards your health so that you can have better results. And then we have people who aren't doing anything, and they come in and say, I know I need help. And I figured this was a good place to start, because I can get my baseline and then figure out what one thing I can concentrate on, because there may be a lot of opportunities for improvement. But what we like to encourage people to do is go and gravitate towards that one thing that you're going to be successful in implementing. Because once you have one success, well, then you can stack. And you can take your next one, and then you can stack again. When we try to do 5 things at one time, I'm sure you would tell the same thing to anyone with whom you work, that you're pretty much guaranteed failure when you try to implement too many things at one time. And so we like to hand people numbers that they can then turn into a playbook. They get to make the choice, or they can work with their physician or trainer or dietitian to say, let's start here. Let's figure this out. Let's get this under control, and then we'll move forward. And so DEXA fits for everyone, from the highly conditioned athlete to the totally deconditioned person who is, in essence, maybe a couch potato and hasn't ever worked out. Well, we're here to get you started and do it in a way that supports your current state of health and gets you on a road to a healthier you.
Okay. Okay, so I have some questions.
Great.
I mean, nitty-gritty stuff, but I'm thinking about the funny side of your scan. So, what are the funniest body parts you get information on? So, does it weigh your boobs? I can't remember.
It does not.
It
It
does
does
not.
No,
Oh,
but the machine does weigh your whole body. So it does give you a total body weight.
but it won't tell you like you've got 8 pounds of meat on your chest.
It does not.
Okay.
And should you have implants, it does not count it as anything.
Okay. Interesting.
Say like I have 2 hip replacements, so it just sort of goes around that. It doesn't count it as anything.
Okay. And so this is the tackiest, but I was also thinking guys might come in there and be like, how much does my junk weigh? But is that not being measured either?
Well, it would be an overall body mass. It would
Okay.
be in total weight, but we don't perform any measurements of that specific body part.
Okay. Okay. Because it did say how much my arms weighed, right? So I
Yes,
guess it's
but
chosen.
that's a limb.
Okay. I just had to know. Okay. And then what's the most appalling result you've seen? Like give me a few examples of what has scared the bejesus out of you. And you don't have to tell anything about that person, so we're not identifying them, but
Right.
what kind of results have been terrifying?
I think, and this is just me personally, because I just know how unhealthy visceral fat is. Someone who comes in and has incredibly high visceral fat, that to me is the scariest. You might have very high body fat or very low muscle mass or really low bone density, but the visceral fat has such an impact on your overall body because it is going to go for your metabolism. And then when it starts doing that, you're looking at insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, which then turns into cardio issues. And so to me, the visceral fat that is the scary number to me. Or a really low bone density is probably second, because you're looking, for those who don't know, if you're in the negative on a bone density scan, you could be either osteopenic or osteoporotic, depending on where you fall on the scale. And we don't diagnose that. And our scans, a DEXA body composition scan, does not diagnose it either. It just gives an overall body number. For diagnosis, you need a hip or spine, and we do those with a doctor's order. But if someone were to come in and on an overall body scan, they have a -2 or a -3, that would be a big flag for me. I would be very concerned, because if that person were to fall, they would be frail. That's a number that would result in a broken bone in an unfortunate circumstance. So those are scary things to me.
And we will be right back. Do your hips, glutes, quads, and hamstrings need extra support while running? Of course they do. Both soothing and comfortable, compression tights by Leo Reve boosts blood and lymphatic circulation while increasing muscle pliability, which helps prevent fatigue and injury. Made for men and women of all speeds. Check out the superior balanced compression tights made right here in America. Visit leoreve.com. That's LEOREVER.com. We're back. So, folks listening, I want to take the moment to pause and implore you to pursue strength training. Strength training, the more muscle you have, the better off you're going to be, the less fat you'll have, the higher your metabolism, the better your bone density. And so I have so many endurance athletes listen to the Fitzness Show, and I love my endurance athletes, and then a bunch of people who probably sitting on the couch, right? But the one thing I think not enough people are doing is committing to strength training, working hard with strength, doing total body strength training. 1 day a week is for maintenance. If you only strength train 1 day a week, you will never get stronger. You might maintain your strength, but you will not get stronger. It's 2-3 times a day, or that every other day is really the gold standard. And if you do that, you'll be so much less likely to fall down, so much less likely to break bones, so much more likely to be vibrant and active and live really long and really well. Strength training is the fountain of youth, and all of your DEXA scan results will improve
Yes.
even if you only focus on one thing with exercise. If it's strength training, you can improve your DexaFit
Yes. And I think what's lost as well, yes, it improves bone density, it improves metabolism, but it improves agility. And as we age, we are more likely, let's say in our 60s, 70s, and 80s, to trip. And if we aren't agile enough, if we don't have enough lean muscle to remain upright, then we're going to fall down. And if we have bad bone density, then we're going to break a bone. So these things are all interrelated. And like you said, Fitz, the strength training serves a lot of purposes. It's not just about creating muscle and looking good and feeling good, although it is those things, but it keeps you agile, it improves your bone density, and it improves your metabolism.
Yeah, huge deal. Okay, so let's talk about bones. So one of the most fun bits of information you gave me was how much my bones weigh. So let's not give it away. I want everyone to think about how much they think their bones weigh, or you could think about how much my bones weigh. I'm 117 pounds. How much weight do you think my bones have, or yours? So think about that. We're going to give them the Jeopardy few moments. Okay, coming up with a number. Yes. So I was surprised to find out that all of my bones altogether, and that includes my skull, right, Ann?
Right. That includes every single bone in your body.
And all the people will say, well, I'm heavy because I'm big boned. I'm big boned. I'm not really overweight. I'm big boned. My bones weighed a whopping ginormous 5 pounds.
And you're about average. That's what makes it fun. It's crazy. We had someone in who was, almost 10, but that was a very large man. And I like to say we blow the big bone theory out of the water every single day because it just doesn't exist. Big bones do not contribute to your overall body weight.
Yeah. So for the folks who are driving their car about to crash off the road, focus. But yeah, so please never ever assume your size is a result of your bones. Your bones look like my bones, look like Ann's bones. Well, all our bones look the same. Maybe Shaq's bones are longer than ours, right? But
Absolutely.
yeah, we're mostly meat and water, right? Meat, water, and skin, our little Ziploc baggie that holds it all together. But yeah, the bones don't weigh much. And so I left your place and then I came home. I asked my family, I said, guess how much my bones weigh? 42 pounds. I had all these big answers. I was so excited to tell them 5. And then I probably asked a bunch of strangers at the grocery store and everyone I met. Guess how much my bones weigh? I was so excited to share that information.
Yes. We'll often, when someone comes in for any of our tests, we go over all the results in person and, every data set, every metric. And before we show them the slide that has the weight of their bones, we'll often ask, how much do you think your bones weigh? And we regularly hear, 60, 70, 90, 100. And so when we turn the page and they weigh 5, it's always a what kind of response. So it's good fun. And we are educating people along the way. That's part of what we do. And we're not only giving them new information, but we are also dispelling thoughts out there of what people think their body is comprised of.
Yeah, it's a real reality check. And here's the other thing I want folks to know is it's non-invasive. So when you do the DEXA scan, you're just lying there. You get to wear your clothes.
Open air. It's not, you're not in a tube. It's very easy.
Yeah, those are things I have a major problem with. If you would have put me in a tube, I would not have come. I would have said thank you, but no thank you. But it was,
it only takes about 6 to 12 minutes to scan. It does depend on your length and width and girth, but 12 minutes is the maximum, and that would be, for a very large person. So yeah, it's very easy. And overall, the appointment is about 30 minutes for just a DEXA. And we do the scan, and then we go over your results with you in person. And then you also get a PDF emailed to you that goes into a little bit more detail. And if you wanted to share that with a practitioner, Maybe if you're working with a physician, dietitian, personal trainer, then you're able to shoot them that PDF so they have a good idea of what your numbers are. And then there's also an app. You can download the app, and the app gives you access to the information at all times. And there are also some variables where targets are concerned, because we do make some suggestions for you in terms of areas of improvement, and you can adjust those targets if you feel like you want to increase them or decrease them versus what the software recommends.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And for folks who think maybe you've got asymmetry in your body, go find out. And then, that's a real motivator. My right
Yeah.
side's weaker than my left. That's why your right side is hurts more than your left. There's just so much valuable information. And whatever age you are, whatever size you are, whether you are an elite athlete or you're a couch potato, it's just, I think it's quality information. So someone sent me a recent study showing how inaccurate fitness trackers are. I think it was Garmin at best when it comes to how many calories you're burning or resting heart rate. It was, I don't know, 67% accurate, which means they're terrible. They're not accurate. They're not giving anyone any sort of real valuable information. And there's a lot of apps that are just making crap up, when they start telling people how to eat and how many calories. I'm like, please stop taking the advice from these people. Also, don't take exercise advice from someone who's not an exercise expert, right?
Exactly. And for body composition, there are other measuring tools out there that you can have access to. Probably the most popular one being the home scale that would, pretend to tell you what your visceral fat is. There is no way you can find out what your visceral fat is unless you get a DEXA body composition scan. That is the only way. These scales are making projections based on your overall body weight. They're also making projections of what your lean mass is and what your body fat percentage is, but there are very wide differences in those at-home scales. And then some of the other things like a bod pod or an in-body, there's some value to those, but if you want the gold standard, then you want a DEXA. And the other things might be fine to track in between. But if you're someone who wants to keep up with your body composition on a regular basis, you want and need a DEXA.
Yeah. And again, different body parts. You can actually say, okay, I want to pack on muscle to my glutes and find out if you have, or I want stronger arms, and you can find out if you have. So I love that. So I want to move to the next test we did, which was for
Can I ask you a question first, Fitz?
Yeah.
So we have people who come in and, they were like you, they were mesmerized by this, and they thought that this is the best thing. And so they're telling all their friends about it. And then I'll run into these people at the grocery store, or these clients come back for a second and they say, oh, I've told my friends, but my friends say, oh, I wouldn't ever want to know that. What would you say to people? Because you've had a scan. I know what my answer is, but I would love to hear what your answer is.
Yeah, I mean, ignorance is not bliss. This is the things that you are providing data are not uncontrollable genetic factors. And so, for example, when I did my ancestry DNA, I purposely did not. I think it was 23andMe, who I don't honestly want to know if I have propensity for pancreatic cancer or Alzheimer's. I figure I'm going to control the things I can. If I have a genetic predisposition, I'm just going to try defending it off with my good habits. However, all the information that someone would garner in your location and with your scans, they can change those results. They can improve upon them. And ignorance is not bliss. In fact, it's ignorant. It's damn stupid. And so, I don't want to bully everybody into going to get your DexaFit scan, but this information could be life-changing. Sometimes people say I'm ready to spring into action because I saw this horrible photo of myself. I didn't realize things had gotten so bad, right? But you go into a DEXA scan, you get some valuable information that might be something that triggers a response and changes your life for the better. So that's my response to that excuse.
And that's very aligned with mine as well. I've already said this, but what gets measured gets managed. And maybe you think you don't want to know, but if you only change one thing as a result of of seeing your numbers, then you're already on a better path. And there's no shame. There's no, we don't want people leaving with a bad feeling because they got a bad score or their body fat is higher than they thought. We tell everyone when they come in, you're already better because you're here. Like, you're already taking a step to improve your life, and you should be applauded for that. And data empowers. So take this data and, like I said, choose one thing and go from there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and your crew is so intelligent and kind, and certainly not there to rub anybody's,
No,
less
no.
than scores in their face. It's just, okay, here's information. We hope you use it. And of course, you're great with referrals. So the next test was a metabolism test. And I believe I had to sit in a chair and
Yeah.
breathe. Wasn't that my
That
task?
was it. Yes, you sit in a chair for about 8 to 12 minutes in between there, and we do clip your nose and you breathe into a tube, and we are measuring oxygen and carbon dioxide. And here's why this is important in terms of people saying, how many calories a day should I eat? You've already mentioned there are all these online calculators that will tell you how many calories you should eat. What our test does is it measures you personally. We're not using any calculations outside of the content of the air, right, that you're putting through this tube in and out. And from that, we are able to tell how many calories you use at rest. That is why you're sitting quietly in a chair with no stimulation, no phone, just sitting there, because from that, we're able to detect based on your lean mass. You might have significantly more muscle than some other woman who is your same age and size. And therefore, that is going to give you more calories a day to use versus someone else. And we're able to tell that by using the technology and by breathing. And then we add in your level of activity. Are you sedentary? Are you mildly active? Are you very active? And from that, we're able to give you what are your maintenance calories per day? How many calories do you need to eat on a daily basis to maintain exactly where you are?
I love it. I love it. And it's funny, my way I teach people to lose weight is the exact formula based on average, the average person burns approximately 10 calories per pound of body weight per day. But if you could go to y'all and get a more precise number, maybe someone's burning 13 calories per pound of body weight per day or less. It really will affect their
Mhm.
outcomes if they feel like maybe they're stuck in
Yeah,
a
we had someone in just this morning, and she does CrossFit, and she has a high percentage of lean mass, way higher than women in her age group, which would be women 40 to 49. And so if we just went, there are two ways of doing it. One, women 40 to 49, and then one, women 40 to 49 at her age and her height. And so we give both of those numbers so that you could see how different our number is. And in her case, she was able to eat more than 1,000 calories more in a
Wow.
day than the online calculator
Wow.
because she was so muscled.
Yeah. Muscle.
And
Muscle.
and she said she was eating according to a calculation, and she was starving.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Of
Yeah.
course she was. And so with that, we get what your resting is, then we account for your movement, your exercise per day, and you get your total calories per day. From that, let's say you want to work on fat loss. Well, then you need to be in a caloric restriction. And so you can take that number and subtract an appropriate number of calories based on where you're headed, how many pounds you
Yep.
want to lose. Or let's say you're fine with your body fat, but you want to put on more muscle. Well, with that, then you should have extra calories per day. And so what does that look like? Should we add 200, 300, 500 calories a day to help enhance your lean gain? And so when you know what your number is, what your maintenance number is, you can go up or you can go down based on the activity that you want to participate in.
Yeah, it's excellent information. I think my folks would really like to know what their number is.
Yes.
And then the final test we did, VO2 max.
The VO2 max test, yes.
All right, tell everybody about that. And we will be right back.
Are you looking for the perfect gift for a loved one battling cancer? The Cancer Comeback Series by Fitz Koehler offers hope, inspiration, and practical guidance. With Your Healthy Cancer Comeback, My Noisy Cancer Comeback, and The Healthy Cancer Comeback Journal. These books are a lifeline for all patients and survivors. Right now, you can order autographed copies at a special discount. Show your support and help a loved one go from sick to strong. Visit Fitzness.com today. That's Fitzness.com. Fitzness.com.
We're back.
Yes. So this is a test. If you read, Peter Attia and other thought leaders in the health and wellness space, they advise everyone to get a VO2 at least once a year, because VO2 is one of the single greatest indicators of your overall cardiac health, because we measure how, we put you on a treadmill, or in some cases a bike. We have one or the other, but we really only recommend the bike if you are a biker, and that is your sole source cardio. But for the most part, 90% of the time we do treadmill, and you don't have to run. If you're not a runner, we can do walking, but we start you out at a very slow rate and get you warmed up. And then we alternate increasing your speed and increasing the incline back and forth until we get you to a max, to your lactate threshold. And we can see it. We're monitoring you on a computer. While you're doing this test, you are wearing a mask that's connected to a hose that's connected to our machine. And that's what we're reading. And we're able to see what is your VO2 max score, which is actually the point at which you tap out, right? At which we can see it on the screen, and usually someone will wave us like, I'm done, within 30 seconds to a minute.
Okay.
And so with that, we cool the person down and we go over their results with them. And the results give you two really important pieces of information. One, we're able to tell you, what is your overall cardiac health? How do you compare to your peers? And in this case, it's very different, men and women. And we look at it by decade, and we can tell you how you compare to your peers. And you want to be at least average or above, because as we age, our VO2 max capacity naturally declines by decade. And so we're fighting against natural decline, whether we do anything or not. So we want to make sure we're remaining healthy, our heart's remaining healthy and strong as we go into our older years, because we want to stay strong, because natural decline is happening. And when you have a strong VO2 max, it helps to determine that as you age and get into your 70s and into your 80s, which I used to think was really far away, but I don't think that anymore. You can sort of see it. I'm in my late 50s, but you want to be healthy, because this is an indicator. We're all going to have something as we get older. How well are we going to be able to recover? Is our heart healthy? First of all, is it healthy enough? We can tell you what percent cardiac risk you have. If you're in the highest category, then you have a much less likely risk for a cardiac event. If you're in the middle, then you have X percent less risk. But if you're in the bottom category, then you are at risk for a cardiovascular event. And that is, that number is outside of any genetic. We can't tell if somebody has any genetic predisposition, but we can tell you based on your current condition of your heart, how you're stacking up against your peers. So that's the most important thing that comes out of this test. And it's important to know, because you want to know where you are today, because that's going to dictate how you're going to age. And you do have the ability to improve that if you're at a place that is not so great. And again, data is power, information is power. So that's a very important deliverable of this test. The second is you wear a heart rate monitor throughout the entire test. And with that, we're able to define for you what is your optimal zone 2 cardio heart rate zone. And zone 2 is a term I think a lot more people are familiar with these days, but it is the zone where you burn fat. And we're actually able to give someone their exact targeted heart rate. Like, let's just say I'm going to make this up, but someone's zone 2 target is 125. That's their sweet spot. But they're going to be in zone 2 from 115 to 135. So we have all these people who are wearing their Garmin's and other tracking devices who are exercising. If you're looking to lose weight and you're looking to specifically lose fat, then you want your heart rate zone to stay in that, as I just defined it, in order for fat burning to happen. We also give you what is your optimal high intensity training zone heart rate. And so that is when people are going all out, right? It is your spin class, it's your Orange Theory, it's other high intensity activities. We give you a target heart rate for that as well. And that's the zone where you can improve your VO2 max score. Where people are always surprised is that they come back to us, they sit there after they get their results and say, no wonder I can't lose any fat. I spend all of my time exercising in my high intensity training zone. And when you're in that zone, you're burning carbs. You're going to the glycogen that's in your muscles and you are not burning fat from your body. And it's a little bit of a light bulb going off for people who say, I'm running 25 miles a week and I can't lose that fat, but I run it at almost the entire time in my high zone. And so we are able to give people information that helps to alter the way that they do their cardio so that they can optimize fat loss for those who want to do that, or they can optimize improving their cardio output and their VO2 max score. And that is such valuable information because we all only have so much time in a week. And we're all trying to work out and do our best. And if we're spending all of this time exercising and we aren't getting the results we want, then we have to ask ourselves why. And so being able to empower people with that sort of information is very gratifying. We have a lot of aha moments with the VO2 heart rate zones.
You are such an eloquent spokesperson for this, for your business.
Oh, thanks, Fitz. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, really, you've explained it all so beautifully. Folks, if you would like to improve your muscle mass, decrease your body fat, increase your bone density, increase your metabolism, get your heart and lungs more powerful, this is a quality investment in your health. And, I feel like men are often quite data driven. But I know there's a bunch of gals out there who feel the same way. Just tell me where I am. And then I'll try to do better, wherever it is. Just give me a number, and I'm going to try to get a better number. So
absolutely. We see a lot of women, middle-aged women, who are hitting that perimenopause window, or they're hitting the menopause window, and physical changes are underway, and the things that worked for them in the past are no longer working. And so they come in curious as to what's going on. And when we're able to give them information and point them in the right direction, it could be life-changing for them.
Yeah, if they're smart, right? And I can imagine someone's probably not going to come in if they don't care. So let's talk about the investment. Do you mind sharing what are the price ranges for these services, and do they range throughout the country?
They do. We are all independently owned. All the DexaFits across the country are independently owned. If you are not in the greater Gainesville area, then just go to DexaFit.com and hit location and find a DexaFit near you. We all have our own websites, but our pricing is is managed by each individual location. So go to your location if you're not in Gainesville. If you're in Gainesville, greater North Central Florida, you're in Ocala, Lake City, Live Oak, or even South Georgia, I would encourage you to come to Gainesville. Our website is gainesville.dexafit.com. And you can read more about all of the tests that we've covered on this call. Our pricing, we always have a special going on. Like right now, it's $129 for any individual test. And if someone is saying, well, I only want to do one test, I would say get the DEXA done, right? It is the gold standard. And from there, you can determine at times if maybe you should do another test. So if you're only going to do one, do the DEXA. But we have packages for, we have a 2-for package, $233 for any 2 tests. And then we do 4 tests for $425. And we say 4 tests because we like that someone likes to come in and get all 3 tests as a baseline, and then have 1 test left to come back in a couple of months and do that follow-up DEXA. People often ask, how often should I get a body composition test done? Great question. We say wait at least 3 months in between DEXAs because you want to see an appreciable difference, right? You want to give yourself enough time to make improvements. And you know this from the fitness arena, change doesn't happen overnight. And so you want to give yourself enough room and time to see change so that you remain motivated and, when you come back. And so we say wait at least 3 months. Some people, it might be 4, 6. Some people might come in and say, I'm in good shape. We one of the things I failed to mention earlier, we do give a score. So like A, B, C, D, where you're able to see where you are. A lot of people are motivated by that because they want to bump, like we all do. We all want to, high achievers. We want to move on.
Right. Yeah.
If we're a C, we want to be a B. If we're a B, we want to be an A. If we're an A, we want to be an A plus. And so people are motivated to come back and improve their score. And so we have pricing that is package pricing. You can get 1 test for $129, 2 for $233, 4 for $425, or 6 tests for $599. And the 6 tests gets you the 3 tests up front and then a quarterly DEXA. So you're set for the year for $600. And when you get your results, I mentioned it's in an app, and all of the data sets, all the metrics that you talked about that you love, the fat by each leg and arm and in your trunk and your visceral fat, they're all tracked so that you can see trends over time. So at the bottom of each page for each metric, you'll be able to see your trend line on how you're increasing your lean mass, you're reducing your body fat, you're reducing your visceral fat. And so we want to keep people in a place where they can see how well they're doing and be motivated by it and track their progress. And then the last thing I want to mention is we do a biological age based on all the inputs that come from each of the tests. So say you get a DEXA and you are 50 years old, depending on your results, your biological age, which is how's your body faring based on these results? And that's versus your chronological age. So let's say we have a 50-year-old woman, chronologically, she comes in, she does very well on her DEXA. So it says she's 45 years old. So that's motivating. That look at that, what I'm doing is working. And then she'll go in and do a VO2 max. And now that's more information. Now that we're better informed on more inputs into that biological age calculation. And she might come out and say, oh gosh, after we account for my VO2 max, the software may say she is 37. And so this is all part of the app, and you're able to see that and track that over time.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a great experience. I enjoyed it. I mean, again, your staff and you were so great to be around, but it was motivating. I'm a pretty motivated girl. I think I do recall I had some good scores that I felt like, all right, this is good information. Yay me. But I also was motivated to do better, and anything that can steer us, whether it's professionally or to be a better spouse or parent or be better better to our own health. It's precise. It's not guesstimating. It's not one of these charts online that tells you, well, if you're this high, this tall and you weigh this much, this is probably your body mass index. No, this is you. This is exactly who you are. And again, your bones probably weigh 5 pounds, which is
yes. And that's the other thing. We throw body mass index out the window. It's completely irrelevant when you're weight composition.
Yeah. And I have so many people ask me, which do I recommend? I'm like, I don't recommend any of that stuff. None of the generic information. I mean, if you're going to tell John Cena he's overweight and, Michael Jordan at his prime that he was obese, well, I've got a real problem with that stuff.
Right. There was a female Olympian in last summer's Olympics who came out and talked about how she was considered morbidly obese according to her BMI, but she was a shot putter.
Yes.
Do you remember seeing that? And her point being that those measurements are ludicrous.
And so much for everybody. Every woman should have 8 glasses of water and men should have 10. I'm like, well, okay, what if it's a really small man and a really big woman? That makes no sense. So trying to beat into people to stop taking advice for generic advice, because each individual is not generic. There's 0% of my listeners are a generic woman or a generic man. So,
and that's the beauty about our tests. They are customized to you.
So good. So good. Hey, thank you so much for having me. And that was really
Thank you for having me. I love to talk about what we do. I'm very passionate about health and wellness. It came out my son's journey. I became a voracious consumer of information about health and wellness, and we did a lot of things along his treatment to improve his health and to maintain his health as he went through treatment. And from that, it just got me launched into an entrepreneurial journey. I knew I wanted to do something in health and wellness. And I'm just very grateful that I found DexaFit, because I believe we are making a difference in people's lives. And most importantly, we are offering hope every single day because we are giving people something to work towards.
You know what we call that? We call that lemonade. You have made lemonade. Well done, Ann Collette.
Thank you, Fitz. Same for you, girl.
Okay. So we're going to end the show. I asked you to come up. We've got your communication tip. What pointer would you give folks to be better communicators?
Tell a story. It's not just about facts, right? You want to be able to tell a story. And so I would advise anyone who is communicating and is able to put a spin on it, whether it's their own personal spin or to be able to tell a story relevant to what information they're sharing. I think it helps people to understand it and remember it in a better way.
100%. That's actually one of the keys to being a successful speaker as well, is storytelling. People love to hear them. Okay. And then song of the week. So you're going to pick a song and then off the top of your head, give them 3 exercise suggestions. What should they be doing while listening to your song? What song is it?
What song is it? I have lately been listening to Lady Gaga, Edge of Glory, while I work out, because it is upbeat and it just gets me all charged up. I do the rowing machine to that. And so when I want to, really kick it in, I will hit the rowing machine while listening to Edge of Glory by Lady Gaga.
Love it. Give me 2 other exercise suggestions. They could be far-fetched if you'd like them to be.
Yes. Well, I've been reading a lot and trying to incorporate this into my day, but getting up and doing 10 squats an hour. Especially for those of us who may work at a desk all day and you can't go out and take a walk necessarily. There's been some information and some study results out there how good it is for glucose management. So doing squats and walking. Love walking. Walking, everybody can do walking. It doesn't require any machines or devices or anything. Just have your dinner at night and go out for a 10-minute, 20-minute, 30-minute walk. Take your dogs, go by yourself, put your earphones in, or just take in nature, but get out and move.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming. This has been great. I think people have learned a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if people rewound this and listened to it again.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me on. And Thanks for appreciating what we do.
I do. Okay, one last task. You got to look at the camera and with gusto, tell all our listeners to get to work.
Get to work.
Hi, this is Rudy Novotny, the voice of America's Marathons. We all love how much running has benefited every aspect of our lives, so much so that most of us only wish we'd started sooner. Wouldn't it be wonderful to give the opportunity to children of today? Well, you can. The Morning Mile is a before-school walking and running program that gives children a chance to start each day in an active way while enjoying fun, music, and friends. That's every child, every day. It's also supported by a wonderful system of rewards, which keeps students highly motivated and frequently congratulated. Created by our favorite fitness expert, Fitz Koehler, Morning Milers across the country have run over 2 million miles and are having greater success with academics, behavior, and sports because of it. The Morning Mile is free to the child, free to the school, and is inexpensively funded by businesses or generous individuals. Help more kids get moving in the morning by visiting morningmile.com. Champion the program at your favorite school or find out more about sponsorship opportunities. That's morningmile.com. Long may you run.